People are now comparing Network School in Johor to a controversial private city that ended up suing Honduras for almost 11 billion US dollars. So what actually happened in Honduras? The story begins more than a decade ago. Honduras was struggling to attract investment. Foreign businesses worried about corruption, unreliable institutions, and one government changing the rules made by another. So Honduras offered investors something extraordinary. They offered special zones called ZEDEs. These zones had their own tax systems, regulations, government structures, and commercial dispute mechanisms. One of those zones became known as Próspera on the Caribbean island of Roatan. The argument was, instead of waiting decades to reform the entire country, create one small piece with investor-friendly rules and let it grow. Supporters imagined another Singapore, but many Hondurans saw something completely different. They saw a privately operated jurisdiction backed by foreign investors being given government-like powers on Honduran soil. Then the government changed. The new administration repealed the ZEDE legislation. In 2024, Honduras Supreme Court declared the framework unconstitutional, but prosperous investors said that Honduras had guaranteed their protections for decades. So they brought an international arbitration claim seeking roughly 10.8 billion US dollars. And that is why this story is now being mentioned in Malaysia. Network School describes itself as a community turning internet groups into physical startup societies. Its founder has also written about network states eventually seeking diplomatic recognition from existing governments. Then came the recent scrutiny in Johor. Immigration authorities investigated allegations involving foreign residents and confirmed that the 266 people checked had valid travel documents. Separately, local authorities issued notices over business licensing, use of premises, and advertising compliance. The founder of Network School responded by pausing more than 500 million ringgit in planned investment and asking the Malaysian government for assurances. But so far, there is still a crucial distinction between what happened in Honduras and Network School here in Johor. Network School has not been granted its own laws. It has no separate tax authority, court, or government powers. So Network School is not Próspera, at least not under its current legal structure. But the comparison poses a question for us. When does an ambitious foreign community remain simply an investment inside your own country? And when does it begin asking your country to surrender parts of its authority? But it's also important to remember that Network School is not Próspera, and Malaysia is not Honduras. Malaysia doesn't need to offer what Honduras offered Próspera in order to get investment. We're already getting loads of it.